Let's get started with our first news. The Russian MMA scene was thrown into absolute chaos after a shocking revelation from Kamil Gadzov, the longtime matchmaker for Khabib Nurmagomedov's Eagle FC and one of the most respected voices in Russian MMA media. Gadzov, who has spent years closely tied to Khabib's promotion and has built a reputation as a reliable insider covering Team Khabib and Dagestani fighters, revealed something no one expected. In a recent interview with a Russian outlet, he claimed that he personally witnessed a sparring session between Khabib and Khamzat while they were both training in Dubai. For context, Khamzat spends significant amounts of time training in Dubai, and Khabib often travels there as well, particularly when he oversees training camps alongside American Kickboxing Academy affiliates. On this particular day, according to Gadzov, both men found themselves at the same gym, surrounded by Dagestani fighters. They exchanged respectful greetings, and then, in a moment that stunned everyone watching, agreed to roll in a grappling sparring session. Here's where the story gets wild. Kamil revealed that Khamzat initially used his considerable size advantage to gain top control over Khabib. With Khamzat being naturally bigger and stronger, it looked like he had the edge early in the exchange. However, Khabib, known for his relentless composure and unmatched grappling IQ, turned the tables in a way that shocked even those who know him best. From the bottom position, the undefeated lightweight legend locked in a triangle choke and forced Khamzat to tape. That's right, according to Gadzov, Khabib successfully submitted the newly crowned UFC middleweight champion during that sparring session. Gadzov went even further in his comments, making a bold claim about what this meant for future potential matchups. He explained that this was proof of why he strongly believes Islam Makhachev would defeat Khamzat if the two ever met inside the octagon. In his view, Islam's submission arsenal mirrors Khabib's tight, suffocating, and fundamentally different from Khamzat's game. Gadzov emphasized that Khabib pulling off the submission despite being the smaller man was not just a training fluke, but a clear indication of how the Dagestani style neutralizes size and strength when executed at the highest level. The matchmaker pointed out that grappling dominance has always been the foundation of both Khabib and Islam's success. Their transitions, their pressure, and their ability to control positions create a sense of inevitability for their opponents. Gadzov insisted that if Khabib could submit Khamzat in a controlled training environment, then Islam has the tools to replicate that success under the bright lights of the UFC. He acknowledged Khamzat's power, athleticism, and unique style, but he was unwavering in his belief that Dagestani fundamentals would ultimately prevail. This revelation has sent ripples through the MMA world, especially given the constant speculation about a potential clash between Islam and Khamzat in the future. The idea that Khabib, even years after retiring, could still dominate in grappling against a current champion adds another layer of intrigue. For fans, this story is more than just training room gossip. It serves as a reminder of Khabib's legendary skill set and the continued dominance of Dagestan's fighters on the global stage. Whether or not this sparring story ever translates into an actual fight scenario, Kamil Gadzov's words have only amplified the buzz around what could be one of the biggest super fights in MMA history. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Tom Aspinall has fired back in a big way at Gane and his coach Fernand Lopez. Lopez, who has built a reputation for being outspoken and often unfiltered, went on the offensive recently, accusing Aspinall of being a loudmouth who spreads misinformation. According to Lopez, Aspinall has been exaggerating and twisting narratives, which he described as nothing but whining. But Aspinall was quick to respond and he didn't hold back. He said Lopez's words are completely irrelevant, and he made it clear that nobody actually cares what Lopez has to say. From there, Aspinall took aim at Gane himself. He brought up Gane's controversial fight with Alexander Volkov, saying he personally believes Gane should have lost that matchup and that the judges got it wrong. While some might see that as harsh criticism, Aspinall insisted it's not an outrageous opinion at all. The fight was extremely close, and many fans watching live also felt Volkov had done enough to win. For Aspinall, that performance raised serious questions about Gane's true level when facing elite heavyweights. When the topic of Jon Jones inevitably came up, Aspinall immediately dismissed it. He told fans to forget about Jones entirely and stop clinging to the hope of that fight. He made it very clear that his only focus is Ciryl Gane, not Jones, not anyone else, and certainly not the endless speculation surrounding Jones's career. Right now, Aspinall says his full attention is locked in on this matchup with Gane, and he is determined to deliver one of the most dangerous performances of his entire career. Aspinall explained that he thrives under pressure, and this situation between the stakes, the rivalry, and the escalating tension between both camps is exactly what brings out his very best. He promised fans that when the cage door closes, he is going to put on a destructive statement-making performance that leaves no doubt about who the better fighter is. For him, this is not just another fight, it's an opportunity to make a definitive mark on the division and silence the critics once and for all. During his sit-down with Ariel Helwani, Aspinall doubled down on his stance. He said Lopez's attempts to paint him as a complainer are not only wrong, but completely beside the point. With all due respect, he said, his opinion is irrelevant. I'm just telling the facts from my side. I'm not trying to get under anyone's skin. That's simply the reality I lived. Whether he agrees or not doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're fighting each other. Aspinall reminded everyone that on October 25th, all the talk will end. We're both gonna take our shirts off, put the gloves on, and see who wins. He said, no amount of back and forth between coaches or media spin will matter once the cage closes. He even mocked Lopez a little, saying if the coach wants to get his feelings hurt or get his knickers in a twist, he can, but it won't change a thing. The heavyweight contender ended by stressing once again that pressure brings out his most devastating performances, and he's more than ready to prove it against Gane. This isn't just about words or interviews anymore. For Aspinall, October 25th is all about action. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev recently spoke at a press conference in Russia, and his comments have sparked plenty of discussion in the MMA world. The former lightweight champion was asked about who should be next in line for the 155-pound title, and he didn't hesitate to share his thoughts. Islam made it clear that in his eyes, Arman is the most deserving contender. He praised Arman's skills, consistency, and the way he has developed over the past couple of years, pointing out that Arman has proven himself against tough competition. According to Islam, a fight between Arman and Ilya is not only the matchup to make, but also the fight that could define the next true challenger in the lightweight division. Islam didn't just stop at suggesting the fight, he also expressed strong confidence in Arman's chances of beating Ilya. He noted that Arman's wrestling, pressure, and ability to mix his striking with his grappling could be the exact tools needed to overcome Ilya's dangerous stand-up game. Islam highlighted how Arman has been steadily improving and gaining more confidence with each outing, and he firmly believes that if Arman gets this fight, he will come out on top. For Islam, this isn't just about matchmaking, it's about merit. He reminded fans that Arman has fought his way into this position and has already shown he can hang with the best of the division. Many believe Arman is the kind of fighter who just keeps getting better, and Islam echoed that sentiment. He said that Arman is not only ready, but also more than capable of stepping up and proving himself on the biggest stage possible. On the other side, Ilya has been building incredible momentum. His striking confidence and ability to finish fights have made him one of the most exciting fighters to watch, but Islam insists that Arman's style would be a nightmare matchup for him. He went as far as to say that if the UFC books this fight, the outcome will surprise a lot of people. To him, Arman's relentless pace and wrestling base can neutralize the striking threat that Ilya brings, turning the fight into a showcase of pressure and control. Islam's words also carried weight because he himself has shared the octagon with some of the toughest fighters in the world. When a fighter of his caliber says someone like Arman is ready, fans and analysts tend to pay attention. His endorsement almost feels like a passing of the torch, as if Islam sees Arman as the next man who could dominate the division. Meanwhile, Bryce Mitchell has been making his own headlines. After some time away, Bryce is back and ready to make noise again in the featherweight division. Known for his scrappy style, strong grappling, and outspoken personality, Bryce returning adds even more intrigue to the already stacked landscape. His comeback means another dangerous player has re-entered the mix, and fans are curious to see how far he can go this time. The lightweight and featherweight divisions are two of the most competitive weight classes in the UFC, and with names like Arman, Ilya, and Bryce all being talked about, it's clear the future is looking incredibly exciting. Islam's comments have only added fuel to the fire, and all eyes are now on whether the UFC makes this high-stakes matchup happen. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev has dropped a surprising perspective on why American dominance inside the UFC has faded, and his explanation cuts right to the core of the sport's global shift. The UFC of 2025 looks dramatically different compared to a decade ago. Back in 2016, the roster was stacked with American champions across multiple divisions, and the US held a firm grip on the sport. Fast forward to today, and the landscape tells a completely different story. The United States now has just one champion, Kayla Harrison, who claimed gold at UFC 316. With John Jones stepping away from competition, there are no longer any American men holding UFC belts. The decline has been hard to ignore, and Islam has made it clear why he believes the tide has turned. According to him, the answer lies in the rise of fighters from the Caucasus region. These athletes, hailing from Dagestan, Chechnya, Georgia, and beyond, have stormed the UFC with a level of dominance that has shaken the sport. Asked directly about the shrinking pool of US champions, Islam didn't hesitate. He gave a blunt response saying, "They just started signing more of our guys. That's the reason." For him, the explanation is simple. Once the UFC began to open its doors to fighters from his region, the results spoke for themselves. These fighters didn't just compete, they began taking over divisions, and the ripple effect was immediate. Islam explained that the difference is not simply in skill, but in mindset and cultural responsibility. He emphasized that fighters from Dagestan, Chechnya, and the broader Caucasus carry with them an entirely different kind of motivation. "I'm 100% sure there will be more champs from our region, from Caucasus, Dagestan, Chechnya. No brainer, our guys live for this sport," he said. For Islam, the mentality is clear. This isn't just a career, it's a duty. He elaborated further, comparing the mentality of US fighters to that of his own people. In the USA, for example, they don't worry even if they competed bad. But behind our guys, there is a family, the whole city, the whole republic, and he feels this responsibility and goes out with the full responsibility and wins. That sense of pressure, that weight of expectation, is what Islam believes separates his region from the rest. When a fighter knows he carries not just his own dreams, but the pride of his people, the result is often victory at the highest level. The evidence is hard to ignore. Georgia has produced Murab, who has become a dominant force, and Ilya, who captured the lightweight throne. From Chechnya, Khamzat rose all the way to the middleweight championship, proving himself as one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet. Dagestan continues to churn out elite wrestlers and grapplers, each of them bringing that same mentality of discipline and responsibility that Islam spoke about. And with the UFC actively scouting talent from the region, this wave of champions is only beginning. The shift is undeniable. Where once the United States ruled the UFC with a dozen champions, today their influence has narrowed to just one. Meanwhile, the Caucasus region has exploded onto the global stage, bringing with it a new generation of elite fighters who look nearly unstoppable. Islam's words carry weight because he has lived this reality. He knows what it takes, and he has seen firsthand how this mindset produces champions. For him, the future is clear. The era of Caucasus supremacy is not coming, it is already here. Move on to another news. Sean Strickland is once again making headlines for all the wrong reasons, and this time his target is none other than the newly crowned UFC middleweight champion, Khamzat, following Khamzat's dominant performance over Du Plessis, which secured him the undisputed title and extended his flawless professional record to 13-0. Strickland took to social media to unload a barrage of controversial comments. In typical Strickland fashion, he didn't hold back, going as far as labeling Khamzat a terrorist, a remark that instantly sparked outrage across the MMA world. His words weren't just trash talk aimed at hyping a potential matchup, they cut much deeper, targeting Khamzat's ties to Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, a political figure accused internationally of human rights abuses and authoritarian control. For Strickland, the issue is clear. He believes having a UFC champion with such associations tarnishes the sport's reputation. On Instagram, he ranted about the state of the middleweight division, emphasizing that he's the only man capable of dethroning the undefeated champion. Strickland has never been shy about making bold claims, and this time he framed it as both a personal mission and a moral stance. In his view, the UFC cannot afford to let someone tied to such controversial figures stand unchallenged at the top. This entire situation highlights just how polarizing Khamzat has become. Inside the cage, there's no denying his dominance. He dismantled Du Plessis in a way that left no questions about his place as champion. His relentless grappling, suffocating pressure, and sheer willpower once again proved too much for anyone in front of him. Yet, outside the cage, his connections, his identity, and the narratives that follow him continue to generate debates far beyond sports. For many fans, Khamzat is an unstoppable force of nature, a man destined to run through the division. But for critics like Strickland, his success is clouded by the political baggage he carries. What makes this moment even more intense is the state of the middleweight division itself. With Khamzat sitting on the throne and Du Plessis now dethroned, the list of potential challengers is short, and Strickland wants to put himself right at the top. He insists that no one else in the division has the grit, the toughness, or the willingness to step into the fire with Khamzat top. He claims he's the only fighter capable of stopping the Chechen wrecking machine, and by making his statements as inflammatory as possible, he has ensured that all eyes are now on him. This war of words also sheds light on a bigger reality within the UFC. Fighters' cultural ties, political connections, and personal affiliations are increasingly becoming part of the conversation. It's no longer just about who wins and loses, it's about what those wins represent on a global stage. And Strickland, whether calculated or reckless, has made himself the face of that debate. As things stand, the UFC has a brewing rivalry on its hands. On one side is Khamzat, the undefeated, unstoppable champion, with a rapidly growing fan base and undeniable star power. On the other is Strickland, the outspoken brawler who refuses to filter his words and insists that he is the man to bring down the champ. Their clash feels inevitable, and when it happens, it won't just be a fight. It will be a battle charged with controversy, intensity, and the kind of raw unpredictability that defines the UFC. At the end of the day, Strickland's words may be offensive, his delivery may be abrasive, but his impact is undeniable. By calling Khamzat a terrorist and painting himself as the sport's last line of resistance, he has ignited one of the most heated rivalries in recent UFC history. The road ahead promises fireworks, and when these two finally meet inside the octagon, the world will be watching.